The history of Native Americans is a profound and multifaceted tapestry marked by cultural richness and tragedy. It is a story of a people who cultivated ancient wisdom, honed practical skills, and lived in harmony with the land for generations. Yet their encounter with Europeans, beginning with Christopher Columbus's arrival in 1492, would set in motion events that forever altered their way of life. Native Americans across diverse tribes developed essential practical skills for their daily existence. From crafting tools and shelters to harnessing nature's bounty, they exhibited remarkable resourcefulness. Their knowledge of the land and its resources was their lifeline, allowing them to thrive in the vast expanse that was Native America. Each tribe's distinct skills and adaptations reflected their deep understanding of the environment. The vastness of Native America encompassed a range of landscapes, from the towering Rockies to the lush forests and endless plains. In these diverse regions, Native Americans adapted, becoming masters of hunting, gathering, and agriculture. The Plains Indians, for example, relied on buffalo herds for sustenance, while the Pacific Northwest tribes mastered salmon fishing. This daily communion with the land showcased their unique connection to the environment. The European presence, however, introduced a complex chapter in Native American history. These historical figures and groups played a transformative role in Native American history. Christopher Columbus initiated European exploration in the Americas, leading to profound interactions. Spanish conquistadors, Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro, toppled the Aztec and Inca empires, respectively. English explorer John Smith contributed to the Jamestown colony's establishment, while Samuel de Champlain and French fur traders expanded French influence. English settlers in Jamestown and Dutch settlers in New Netherland left lasting impacts. French explorers and traders in the Great Lakes and Mississippi regions influenced Native American interactions and alliances, collectively reshaping the course of Native American history through exploration, colonization, and their subsequent disruptions. The tragic consequences of European contact were manifold. The introduction of diseases, such as smallpox, led to devastating epidemics among Native Americans who lacked immunity. Forced relocations, exemplified by the Trail of Tears for the Cherokee Nation, caused immense sufferance. Someone will ask that, which Europeans came to disrupt the Native Americans and what they have built already. Well, beginning toward the end of the 15th century, the migration of Europeans to the Americas led to centuries of population, cultural, and agricultural transfer and adjustment between Old and New World societies, a process known as the Columbian Exchange. As most Native American groups had previously preserved their histories by means of oral traditions and artwork, the first written accounts of the contact were provided by Europeans. Ethnographers commonly classify the indigenous peoples of North America into 10 geographical regions which shared cultural traits called cultural areas. Some scholars combine the Plateau and Great Basin regions into the Intermontane West, some separate prairie peoples from Great Plains peoples, while some separate Great Lakes tribes from the northeastern Arctic. This area encompasses the far northern regions of North America, including parts of Alaska and Canada. It is inhabited by indigenous groups, such as the Inuit, Aleut, and Yupik. These peoples have traditionally relied on hunting, fishing, and gathering for sustenance due to the harsh Arctic climate. Subarctic, located just south of the Arctic. The subarctic region experiences colder temperatures and is home to various indigenous groups. The lifestyle here revolves around hunting, trapping, and gathering with a focus on survival in a challenging environment. Northeastern woodlands. This cultural area covers the northeastern part of North America, including the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence River regions. Indigenous communities like the Iroquois and Algonquian tribes have historically practiced agriculture, hunting, and fishing in this forested area. Southeastern woodlands, encompassing the southeastern part of the United States. This region is characterized by its temperate climate and abundant natural resources. Indigenous peoples like the Cherokee, Creek, and Choctaw traditionally engaged in agriculture, with maize grown as a staple crop. Great Plains. The Great Plains are vast, flat grasslands that stretch from Canada down to Texas. Native American tribes like the Sioux and Cheyenne relied heavily on bison hunting and nomadic lifestyles in this region. Great Basin. Situated in the western United States, the Great Basin is a desert region characterized by sagebrush and salt flats. Indigenous groups like the Shoshone and Paiute adapted to this arid environment by relying on hunting, gathering, and seasonal plant foods. Northwest Plateau. This cultural area includes the plateau region of the Pacific Northwest, where tribes such as the Nez Perce and Spokane practice fishing, hunting, and gathering along rivers and in forests. Northwest Coast. Along the Pacific coastline from Alaska to Northern California, indigenous peoples like the Tlingit, Haida, and Coast Salish relied on fishing, hunting marine mammals, and a rich cultural tradition of totem pole carving. California. The California cultural area is known for its diverse landscape, from deserts to forests to coastlines. Native Californian tribes, including the Miwok and Chumash, adapted to their specific environments through a mix of hunting, gathering, and fishing. Southwest America. This region includes the arid desert landscapes of the American Southwest, where indigenous groups like the Navajo, Hopi, and Pueblo peoples developed complex agricultural systems centered around irrigation and the cultivation of crops like maize, beans, and squash. Now, the major question that has been around for centuries is that why do Native Americans bear the intriguing moniker Red Indians? And also, how did this term came to be? Another one is if there is any connection between these indigenous peoples of the Americas and the Indians residing on the distant continent of Asia. Well, let me explain. The term Red Indians was historically used by European settlers to describe the indigenous peoples they encountered upon arriving in the Americas. The name is believed to have originated from the misperception of Native Americans' use of natural pigments and dyes, such as red ochre, for body paint, clothing, and decoration. It was not a term used by Native Americans themselves to describe their various tribes and nations. As for any connection between Native Americans and the people of India in Asia, the term Indian was initially applied to Native Americans by European explorers who mistakenly believed they had reached India or the East Indies when they arrived in the Americas. This misnomer led to the misclassification of Native Americans as Indians, a term that has persisted despite the geographical error. So while the name Red Indians is not a reflection of their own identity, but rather a historical misnomer, there is no direct cultural or ethnic connection between Native Americans and the people of India in Asia. These are two distinct and unrelated groups with separate histories and cultures.